Welcome to another edition of Road to Recovery, the show that attempts to offer hope and help and wholeness and healing for those who are struggling with addiction, or maybe you have a family member, a friend, a coworker, a neighbor who is struggling with addiction. Thank you for joining us here today, and we trust that we'll be able to offer that hope and healing for you. My name is Steve Rao, and I have the privilege of co-hosting this with Tricia Farrar of the Recovery Center, the executive director there. Thanks for joining us again today.
Thanks for having me back.
It is a privilege to have you joining us. You really understand this more than most in our community. There is a need, but there is a wonderful group of people who really care about this need, isn't there?
There sure is, yes.
And we have the opportunity to talk to individuals every time on this program who are really there to help make this process better. There is hope for somebody who is struggling.
There is. And I see today you brought a dentist in.
I did, because you have a beautiful smile, and you
too.
Yeah, thank you. You never trust a dentist with a bad smile, right?
That's right.
And so our dentist today is Dr. Larry Gamby. Thanks for coming on with us. We appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, Steve.
Now, how did you get into the dentistry business?
It started with my hometown dentist in Defiance, Ohio, Dr. Ned Willie. Started seeing him when I was 5, and my mother actually is a nurse at Defiance Hospital and knew that Dr. Willie needed a dental assistant, and one of her nurse's aides, Linda Crawford, ended up interviewing, was his dental assistant for over 30 years.
Wow.
And I saw Dr. Willie from the time I was 5 until I was 28. So eventually he saw I was interested. I was playing with the air water squirter in the swirling water cuspidor, which no longer exists because of infection control.
I see.
And he knew I had an interest, asked me questions. Every time I came in, he goes, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" And next thing you know, he offered me a summer job. So through high school, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade, I was his chairside assistant during the summers. And he said when it came time to get to dental school, he would write me a letter of recommendation. He just made sure to make me realize that I was going to the wrong school of dentistry, because he's from North Baltimore, Ohio. But I did notice his dental license was from the University of Michigan.
Oh,
so he told me to make sure that whatever I see him do there, that make sure I do it however they teach me at the Ohio State University College of Dentistry, which I have. So that's it. That's how I got involved in dentistry.
Wonderful. You got to follow your passion. You obviously had a passion for it, and to follow your passion, that's wonderful.
That's a unique job for a high school student, too.
It is.
Yes,
I
like
was
that.
very well prepared, so when I got to dental school, in fact, I spent 8 years in the College of Dentistry. I got my bachelor's degree in dental hygiene from the Ohio State University, and then I went straight from there into dental school. Worked as a hygienist placing fillings while I was going through dental school. So I tell people I not necessarily was incarcerated in the Ohio State University College of Dentistry, but I spent 8 years there. My entire college time was spent there.
Wonderful. Well, my dad, you and I are close to the same age, so when I was real young, and I didn't get to see your doctor, I went to the Ohio School of Dentistry. They would, the students would work on your teeth, and it was maybe not as pleasant an experience as I had hoped. Let's face it, anything they're putting sharp instruments in your mouth is maybe uncomfortable. And what I think has happened over time is people have said, is there any way I can avoid the pain? And that has caused some of the introduction of things like Percocets or Vicodin, things along that line. Have you seen that in your practice?
I see it every day, and I'm an active subscriber to what's called the ORS reports. Mm-hmm. It's an automated prescription. I believe just you can screen it, and I ask my patients if they have a tendency towards any of that, if they're in so much pain but don't really quite see it in the mouth or on the x-rays. I want to ask them questions. Have you seen a medical doctor? Have you received a prescription for narcotics from a pain clinic, a medical doctor, within the last 2 weeks, because that's how it screens. So yeah, I mean, I deal with it every single day.
Well, see, you hear drills and fillings and root canals, Tricia, and it's just it makes my mouth hurt just to say it.
It makes me a little anxious too.
So we can appreciate the use of these things, but it's the abuse of them that's the problem.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it too is that many medical people are kind of judged in their position by their patients as to, do you have no pain at all? And our society has become so, strongly we desire no
Opposed to
pain at all.
pain, right.
Opposed to pain, right. So that's a real challenge, I'm sure, for the medical community. So.
And what we try to do is, at least on my side, I know that I offer conscious sedation, prescription medication to relax the patient if they have that previous track record. And we want to make sure that they're comfortable. And we literally, what we want to say, we want to balm the tooth with anesthetic. We want to make sure the patients feel nothing. It's afterwards where people start to get the track of going towards getting away from non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, ibuprofen, Motrin, Advil. I mean, the drug in that is ibuprofen, and it is the drug of choice to eliminate pain. What you start to see is prescribers, and I'm going to say, just looking at the ORS reports myself, not necessarily dentists, but you see a lot of medical doctors. I've seen where they are liberally giving 60, 90, 100 tablets of hydrocodone, of oxycodone, of Vicodin and Percocet, respectively. And you follow the track record of how many different pharmacies did they go to. I can't believe that I've seen on somewhere patients were given 120 Vicodin, on the next day given 120 Percocet. Same medical doctor going to a different pharmacy. So we're able. The ORS report is it's great. It's a wonderful thing that Ohio has, Indiana, Kentucky, other states do have this capability, and a lot of dentists need to start doing it. I talked to one of the ORS people over online and over the phone. They're saying only around 7 to 10% of dentists in the state of Ohio are actually actively using it, and it really needs to be pushed. I think something through the state dental board needs to be done legislative-wise, that it requires every dentist who graduates from either Case Western Reserve University or the Ohio State University, you must sign up for an ORS report account. It should be made mandatory prior to you receiving your dental license.
Well, I'm really glad that you're talking about it. I think that with that wonderful tool that we have now, along with the awareness that how quickly people can become addicted to opiates, I know that doctors and dentists are generally well-intended. They want to help people, but these tools will help to save lives, really, because we feel like we're helping somebody maybe alleviate some pain, but we might be, increasing their likelihood for addiction. So I'm glad that that's turning around, and thank you for speaking up about it.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
It is an interesting dichotomy, isn't it? We're trying to eliminate pain, but the pain of addiction is so deep, so emotional, even physical, and certainly mental and spiritual as well. That deep pain that you get into trying to avoid pain is an interesting paradox there. My guess is in your line of work, you can tell when an individual has an inflamed tooth, or they had a recent root canal, or something has gone wrong in their mouth, and they legitimately need an Oxycontin or a Percocet or Vicodin or some of these other drugs, and when they are drug seekers. Have you had that experience where people have come in and said, my tooth hurts, do you have anything for that? I can't use Vicodin, but I can use a Percocet or two. Have you had that experience?
Right there, right, just that phrase, right when you said that, that is the trigger. For me, that's the red flag. I go, let's take a look at an x-ray and we'll find out. We take the x-ray. I go, I'll be back in the room when it's developed. When I say that, if they're a very attuned seeker, they will realize that they know what I'm going to do. They may have been to different facilities, different offices, and when I hear that, that's when I go to the computer, I type in, get my ORS report, and you just need their birthday and their zip code. And then that's when I track it, and I see on there what their history is. Sometimes it's blank, no results found. Sometimes you see just maybe something was done in 2011, 2012, but nothing recent. And then you'll see somewhere it's 5 to 6 pages, and it's consistent. Literally every month, every 2 months. It can be every 2 weeks, and that's when I actually, in our facility, we have just dividers you can actually see across, if you're not careful, between the cabinets.
Sure.
And that's when I do have to lower my voice and I talk to them.
Yeah, how do you handle that? What do you do for them next?
I realize what they're doing, and I tell them, I go, I've noticed you have a history of, getting medications, narcotics specifically. I go, I just want to let you know that the whole thing is the fact that you're inflamed and that you need an anti-inflammatory. That's the best thing. Advil's going to work the best for you. I'm going to tell them the number of prescriptions they've received from these other doctors and dentists, I go, is excessive. And I need to let them know that there's their name and their initials. I go, you will not see L-A-G-A-M, you will not see L-GAM on this list. I go, because number one, this will be tracked if you end up going through, help, through recovery. It will be seen. And I told them, I go, I'm not going to be an enabler. I go, I will help you. We need to get you through this. And then basically, honestly, if I really get to that point, and I haven't, but if I do, I would definitely call Steve and say, listen, point me in the right direction here. I've got someone who actually, to the point, there's some people when you bring it up, they break down. They break down in tears.
Sure.
And I almost do too. It's just really, because you realize you're catching someone at such an early point.
Correct.
That hopefully something can be done, and so that it doesn't progress.
Yeah, what would you say? We got a couple of minutes left. What would you say to an individual who feels like their only hope is to go drug seek and okay, if you can't help me, Dr. Larry Gamby, I'll just go to the next doctor. What do you say to that individual as it relates to the next step that they should take?
I let them know that this is not a dead end road, that there's plenty of light, and that we've seen the light. And when I say light, that is a segue into basically with something that hit the Pickerington community. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Tyler's light, I believe it was a young man named Tyler Campbell who took this path, and unfortunately for him, it ended in his death. And it sounds to me like your heart is to try to help individuals and families to avoid the hell that the Campbell family has gone through.
Right. No one should have to go through that. And he was a football player just like my son Seth. And there was a scholarship that came out, and very humbling that that Seth was selected to be the first recipient, and then he will pass that on to other recipients of this award.
Right.
And it's just that it was a football injury.
Right.
We're not talking like a dental injury or trauma, but this was something where he just got off the path, and it led from anti-inflammatories to Vicodin to eventually this isn't cutting it, and I need I need to be able to perform, and then you get seeking something else to eliminate the pain, and then you start having pains mentally where I'm hurt, I can't play the game anymore. Then you're trying to soothe that pain as well, and that's when it becomes to the point where you're using heroin and other drugs that eventually will cause you to lose your life.
And you just described the path that people go through with addiction. Nobody intends that. It usually starts out something a legitimate concern.
Correct.
So thank you for explaining that. And it really is, so much good has come from that bad situation. It was very unfortunate, but it's helping us all to work together better. There are opportunities for Recovery Center to work with dentists, for example, to get people on the right path. So we really appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. We're out of time. Thank you for your willingness to stand up for what is right, not just giving somebody what they want and getting the Good Doctor Award. You're saying, I am being a good doctor to you by pointing you in the right direction.
And passing this on to my partners too, at the office as well. I let them know they're from different states. One's from Wisconsin, one's from Canton, Ohio, but went to New York University. But I let them know that if they need or they're in their doubt, they don't have their own accounts, but I told them, hey, they've got my password.
Yep.
They've got it. I go, just type up, and you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. It's a great leadership on your part. Thank you for caring for individuals and families, and we encourage you to keep up the good work.
Great, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Dr. Larry Gamby. Tricia Farrar, thank you for joining us in the work that you're doing. Keep up the good work at the Recovery Center.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gamby.
Great, thank you.
if you have someone that you know that is struggling, or maybe you are struggling yourself, there is hope, there is help, there is healing, there's wholeness for you. Give the Recovery Center a call, 687-4500, or stop by the Recovery Center, 201 South Columbus Street in downtown Lancaster. Join us next time as we continue to journey down this road to recovery.
Healthy tomorrow begins with a solid foundation at home, and there are simple ways to start your kids on a path to success. Eat dinner together. Add veggies to each meal. Save treats for special occasions. And be sure to get up and play an hour each day. Help your kids make all of their dreams come true. Be our guest to healthy living today at letsmove.gov.